What's up, guys? Your boy Dub, and I'm back for another What If. Well, today we're going to continue the What If Hinata Awakened the Tenseigan, Part 5. So, last time we left off with, of course, the Chunin exams, disaster, and, the invasion of Konoha. So, all the heroes, especially Hinata, were able to take down Gaara and all the other threats in the village, including Orochimaru. The third was still there like in the original, and so on and so on. And so everything else pretty much remained the same, except for when it comes down to when it comes down to Naruto finding Tsunade along with Jiraiya, because instead of just them two, Hinata wants to tag along because she feels powerful enough to want to tag along. And since in this timeline, I feel like her personality would change due to her having more power. She would actually want to go out on more missions and actually fight more and do stuff for the team and whatnot. So I feel like that would definitely help in her developing as a person. So she would of course go with them, and they would all set out on the adventure. So they'll still pretty much do the same stuff, except since Hinata is here, Jiraiya can't really be a perv because she's a female, and Naruto won't allow it around her because he actually respects Hinata enough, even more in this timeline, to the point where he wouldn't even allow Jiraiya to do some nasty things like that. Maybe on their own time, of course. And so for now, they press forward, and they still got the whole Itachi and Kisame situation. But in this timeline, since he not had the power of Tenseigan, and she can't really use it effectively yet, but she's training to seek the power she once felt before, because she had short bursts of it when she had fought her sister and her father when they was training when she was younger. But she wants to get that power again someday. She still remembers how it felt. It felt incredible. But her Byakugan is actually a lot more powerful due to her awakening Tenseigan and having the bigger chakra pool. So I feel like in this timeline, with the right training from both her and Naruto, I have no doubt in my mind with Jiraiya that they can easily take Kisame and Itachi, which will force them both to retreat. So therefore, Sasuke, when you get there in time to actually confront his brother, and Itachi will escape. So of course, Sasuke, he will still show up, but he'll be too late because they'll tell him he got away, and then he'll be pissed at himself for being late. And so he'll just be mad. He'll just go back to the village like he would, or go back to where he was in the original. I think that's how I played out. I don't really remember. I remember Sasuke being there at one point of the journey with him and Jiraiya was looking for somebody. I remember that at least. And so pretty much, with that being said, they both would definitely press forward with going on about their fight, and they would definitely head towards Tsunade, and they would manage to find her. And so in finding Tsunade, they would actually be able to convince her to come back to the village. And, the same thing would play out, except in this timeline, instead of just Naruto fighting her, she said both him and Hinata should fight her, and if they win, she will come back. And so in this timeline, since they both were stronger than their counterparts, because Naruto, at this point, I forgot to mention, he can control up to the Three Tails power because he has been training to master his chakra. And since Hyugas have pretty much damn near perfect chakra control, it wouldn't be safe to say that Naruto will perfect his chakra control, thereby allowing him to use jutsu and allow him to use Kurama chakra at will. And so he's able to use up to the Three Tails and be able to perfectly control it without going berserk or nothing. He can push for the Fourth Tails, but it was just gonna make him go crazy, like in Shippuden and stuff. But as far as Hinata goes, her physical prowess and her visual prowess is heightened due to her training, her physical capabilities, and as well as her visual capabilities with the Byakugan. So her Byakugan far exceeds anybody else's in history of the Hyuga, including Neji, who was supposed to be a prodigy in their era, but she's a prodigy now. And so of course they both take on Tsunade, but Tsunade, with her battle experience, I feel like she would barely just edge the fight by doing cheating tactics, because she realized they both were very powerful, especially the Hyuga girl. She would actually take note of that in the future, so keep on the lookout for that. Remember that what I said, she gonna keep a lookout for the Hyuga girl. So yeah, keep that in mind. And so with that being said, she would press forward with agreeing, since they put on a hell of a showing in this timeline, that she'll agree to go and be the Hokage. And but she kind of still against it because she doesn't really see the whole point of it when you just die for a nation that don't really care about you. That whole idea she was pretty much showing out, but she still kind of agreed due to pretty much wanting to go back to the village for the sake of Hinata, because she basically is very interested in training Hinata, seeing as how good she was in that fight. So that was one of the main motivators in this timeline for everyone to come back, instead of just solely just fighting Naruto and hear him give him talk no jutsu against, you know, Kabuto later. Oh yeah, speaking of that, that's next. So they would run into, of course, Orochimaru and Kabuto because, you know, she still has to meet them about healing his hands and arms after being taken away from him by Hiruzen, their own master, which is kind of funny now that I think about it. Circle of life. Anyways, the fight would still go the same except how it ended. Because instead of Tsunade getting injured, Hinata is there to protect Tsunade, so therefore Kabuto can't really do much damage to her, allowing her to like be more like physically up to where she can put up more of a battle. So when she does activate her Byakugan seal, it intrigues Hinata. She's like, whoa. And she uses her Byakugan, she clearly sees the chakra flowing from the seal and it's going throughout her entire body rapidly, make her immensely stronger. And she says, whoa, that's incredible. Because Hinata is taken aback about this ability that Tsunade has, and she definitely will want to learn that someday. So keep a lookout on that. Like I keep saying, them two things I just said, with the Tsunade wanting to train her and her wanting to Byakugan seal, it parallels each other. You'll get it in the next part, hopefully. And so pretty much, she will like be in awe as Tsunade is pummeling Kabuto. Like Kabuto's attacks ain't doing nothing. She is literally wrecking his crap in this timeline. And so, with that being said, you know, they would easily take down Kabuto, but you know, it's that. And so Jiraiya, he would just be beating down Orochimaru, and they'll be right next to each other. So Kabuto and Orochimaru take this opportunity to teleport and get away. And so they'll get away, just like in the original. That's that. And so they all will go back to the village, and then Tsunade. I feel like I'm skipping detail, but I ain't trying to be too involved in the story because most of y'all who watch Naruto should know how it plays out. So we go back to the village, and we have, you know, Hinata and Tsunade just talking to each other. We don't know what they were discussing, but Naruto and Jiraiya is kind of intrigued because they know obviously it's something good. They both like never really knew each other like that, and they're talking this much. And you know, her assistant, she's on, she's just next to Jiraiya, and Jiraiya's kind of looking at her chest, you know, and he's like being a perv, you know, doing what he always do, of course. So where was I? Okay, this is where I last left off. So we pretty much head back to the village, and now we're at the point where, you know, Naruto and Sasuke, you know, Sasuke runs away, Naruto chases after him, all that good stuff. So in this timeline, Sakura doesn't really cost the whole team because Hinata will actually prevent from doing it like really differently, of course. So it'll play out very differently than what's happening that way with Mountain. So, you know, Naruto and Sasuke would still like, you know, meet at the battle, but in this timeline, Hinata would be the one to actually stop everybody and tell them just wait up here and see what happens next. And if Naruto's in trouble, then they can help him. And so they see how to fight with it, you know, the opposite way it ended in the first series, except Naruto would not be knocked out since he would have had, you know, more control of chakra and higher forms of power. Let me stop talking. Naruto obviously wins. I was just joking for all Sasuke fans in case they thought he had a chance. I hope he don't. Because Naruto has perfect control of the 3-tail state. And keep in mind, Naruto at that time period only was able to access the 1-tail state at the point where he can actually use it. And even then, he didn't have really that much control over it, as you've seen in the fight with Sasuke. But this is a Naruto who mastered the 1, 2, and the 3-tails. So he's easily watching Sasuke press Mark 2 and just wrecking his shit. And at this point, Naruto would have picked up on the Rasengan a lot quicker since Jiraiya would have obviously taught him on a road trip since they would have had the time to do so. And he would have perfected the Rasengan in the matter of a day. Since he has perfect chakra, so it wouldn't be nothing really stopping him from learning the Rasengan because it would be basics to him. So he'll learn it a lot quicker than most people did, even Jiraiya himself. So he'll get the Rasengan, you know, 3-tails, perfect master, all that other good stuff. And he push to the force if he need to. But he wouldn't need it for Sasuke because he easily beats him, like I said. So the fight is won, but Sasuke, he's still, with the rest of his chakra left for the curse mark, he quickly disappears. And so, you know, he's going in the night. And so Naruto, only being left with his headband, he takes Sasuke's headband, and he goes back to the village with the rest. And so that would pretty much end, you know, the regular Naruto timeline. We'll go into Shippuden. So Shippuden part 1, you know, after Naruto and left, we all know he leaves with Jiraiya. And so while he's gone in the past 2.5 years and eventually trained, Naruto actually gets perfect sage mode in those 2 years instead of waiting until, like, you know, after Jiraiya dies. Because Jiraiya would have took him to Mount Miyaboku in those 2.5 years and trained to get sage mode just in case for the oncoming threat. Because obviously they all knew that threats were being, you know, happening around the world. And with that being said, Naruto needs the power that he needs, especially with the Akatsuki lurking. So Jiraiya would be able to train him early and he would perfect Sage Mode. But due to him having Kurama, he couldn't use the frogs to use Sage power for too long. So you know he had to come up with that idea he did in the original, which he used the clone and stuff like he did, which is still very smart to me, but it's not gonna last long, of course. And so, you know, of course, Hinata would still train with Tsunade as well. You know, because Naruto the only one getting stronger. She did too. Because you remember I, you know, brought up the whole scenario of like, you know, them both being interested in one another. Well, that was the reason why. Because she wanted to train Hinata. Because obviously Hinata would be a way better person to train than Sakura. Because at this point, Hinata has the power advantage over her, the strength advantage, the stamina advantage, the physical prowess advantage, and the visual prowess advantage over Hinata. And since she has the ability to, you know, tap into Tenseigan's power, not too easily, but she has the Tenseigan, pretty much, she would actually be of great use. Because in the 2.5 years after, you know, she trained, she actually was able to fully awaken the Tenseigan. Because once, like, remembering the power after visioning it in dreams and, you know, daydreams and whatnot, she was finally able to, you know, do some mental training to, like, enhance her mental. And from there, she was able to, like, you know, get in contact with the one and only, you guessed it, Hamura Otsutsuki. And Hamura actually, you know, led her on down the right path to the training regimen that she would need to, you know, fully awaken the Tenseigan. And in fully awakening it, she does access higher power, but it's not the master version yet, because he even states that it won't be fully mastered for a while until you fully train it to be. And other things that he wished to not speak about and tell her until she was truly ready to learn it. And so for now, she settled for the basic Tenseigan level because she said it's strong enough in her own eyes. And plus, combined with the training she did with Tsunade with the medical ninjutsu, and as well as learning the Byakugo seal, she's definitely has what it takes. Because I think in the original time, she has a mystic palm technique, which is like a healing ability. So she has an affinity for medical ninjutsu. She just never really leaned too much into it due to her being, you know, a Hyuga and not really being a medical ninja, more so a kunoichi that likes to fight on the front line. So with that being said, you know, in this timeline she'll lean more into medical ninjutsu. Now this leaves Sakura with nothing but genjutsu from Kurenai, which is a great thing. She's not that good of a character anyway, so I don't care. I mean, I like Sakura, but not that much. I like Hinata more. So obviously they both will meet each other again after 2.5 years, and they both will hug, and you know they'll both be happy, and then Hinata will even start blushing. So with Naruto. And so pretty much, you know, they would both go to Ichiraku Ramen and eat and catch my old times. So I'm off right here, guys, and y'all gonna catch y'all in the next part. See you guys later. Peace.